Hi, everyone. My name is Jamie Brandis, and I am with the Colorado Small Business Development Center Network's SBDC TechSource Commercialization Program. I'd like to welcome you all today to Everything You Need to Know about USDA SBIR. Very briefly, I'd like to introduce you to our state's TechSource Commercialization Program. This program is designed to support science and technology ventures throughout Colorado. Businesses are pre-startup through advanced second stage, so if you have an innovative technology, you're likely a fit for the program regardless of your stage of business. SBDC TechSource Commercialization focuses especially on sources of non-dilutive capital where there's no equity given, technology commercialization, and SBIR STTR grants. We also cover R&D tax credits, government accounting, IP protection, access to capital, and market research. We provide customized expert consulting at no cost to you, as well as relevant workshops, events, and accelerator programs. A new program we've added is Red Team Review, which provides professional guidance and a final review of a company's SBIR or STTR proposal prior to submitting it to the participating federal agency. Our final round this year is focused on the Department of Energy. Applications are currently open for that, and the deadline to apply is August 18th. After this webinar, if you're interested in meeting one-on-one with an SBDC TechSource specialist, attending events, workshops, or webinars, or learning more about the Red Team Review program, please visit our website, which is sbdc-techsource.org to get started. These resources are available thanks to support from SBA's FAST program, Visa, the Colorado Office of Economic Development and International Trade, and the City of Boulder. Just a few quick things. If you're located outside the state of Colorado, we encourage you to check out your local SBDC and resources for your individual state because we do focus on Colorado. You'll receive a copy of today's presentation slides, as well as a copy of the recording of this in a follow-up email after the presentation. Just a few housekeeping things. Everyone is on mute. If you have questions, please type them into the Q&A bar at the bottom of your screen, and we'll leave about 20 minutes for Q&A at the end of today's session. So definitely type in those questions. I now would like to introduce you to today's webinar presenters, Melinda Kaufman and Narun Nahar. Melinda Kaufman has been at the USDA Small Business Innovation Research, or SBIR. She's been the program coordinator with NIFA since September 2020. In this role, Kaufman manages the program, which administers Phase 1 and Phase 2 grants, and works closely with the Small Business Administration. Prior to this position, Kaufman spent much of her career working at the University of Kansas, where she worked in social science research, consulting and training, and program evaluation. She was able to develop her research skills with both quantitative and qualitative data. She also expanded her program evaluation knowledge and became the primary evaluator for the evidence-based and emerging practices for her division. Kaufman served as the lead research associate for a national study organized by Dartmouth University. Through her research and evaluation projects, she became proficient in multiple evidence-based and emerging practices. She co-authored multiple fidelity instruments and academic publications. Kaufman holds a Bachelor of Science degree in agriculture from Northwest Missouri State University and an MBA from Benedictine College. She pursued her MBA to further her interest in applying business principles to social problems. She's a strong proponent of data-driven decision-making, project management tools and techniques, and results-based management. The SBIR program combines agricultural research, business principles, and public service, all of which are strong interests of hers. Dr. Narun Nahar has been with NIFA as the program specialist since December 2021. Prior to joining NIFA, Dr. Nahar was an assistant professor in the Department of Agricultural and Biosystems Engineering at North Dakota State University. Her research focused on the sustainable use of agricultural resources for food, chemicals, fuel, biomaterials, and biochemical production. She holds a BS in biology, MS in soil science, and PhD in environmental and conservation science. Her academic backgrounds and skill sets are relevant to biological sciences that combine physical, chemical, and biological interactions of plants, microbes, and soils to ensure economic development while maintaining a sustainable environment. Dr. Nahar is passionate about identifying and addressing hurdles in growing tech and agribusinesses. Within the USDA, SBIR, and STTR programs, she can combine her passion for supporting the agricultural industry. Now I'll turn it over to Melinda and Narun. Thanks so much for presenting today.
Thank you, Jamie. Thank you for inviting us. We're going to share our slides and we'll get started. Well, again, I'm Melinda Kaufman. I'm the SBIR STTR program coordinator for USDA, and we are housed within the National Institute of Food and Agriculture, otherwise known as NIFA. SBIR and STTR program goals, and this goes across the federal government, are fourfold. They're there to stimulate technological and scientific innovations in the private sector, and at the same time to strengthen the role of small businesses, and also to increase the commercialization of innovations, to push those scientific and technical innovations out there into the market. And very importantly, we want to foster and encourage participation by historically underrepresented populations. This is the non-discrimination statement for USDA. And I won't read this to you in its entirety, but I will read the first paragraph. I want you to know that we take it very seriously, and you will get copies of these slides. And I encourage you to look at it a little closer because we do take it very seriously. In accordance with the Federal Civil Rights Law and the U.S. Department of Agriculture, civil rights regulations and policy, the USDA, its agencies, offices, and employees, institutions participating in or administering USDA programs are prohibited from discriminating based on race, color, national origin, religion, sex, gender identity, sexual orientation, disability, age, marital status, family parental status, income derived from public assistance program, political belief, or reprisal or retaliation for prior civil rights activities in any program or activity conducted or funded by the USDA. Remedies and complaint filing deadlines are varied by program or incident. So these are the three phases of any SBIR STTR program. Phase 1 and phase 2 can be funded by the federal government throughout the SBIR STTR programs. Phase 3 is where you find another resource, an outside resource, some angel investors or some other resources. Phase 1 is typically shorter, and it's there to establish the commercial potential, but mainly to establish the feasibility of your scientific or technical innovation. So it's a proof of concept. And then in phase 2, the commercialization piece of it starts to increase while you continue to do the research and development. Our annual budget for USDA SBIR STTR is about $40,000. $40 million. I'm so sorry. 40 million. I'm not used to those big numbers. For phase 1, our awards are awarded at $125,000 to $175,000. And the length of projects for SBIR is typically 8 months, and for STTR 12 months. There is a way to get a no-cost extension, which is fairly easy if you need more time for that proof of concept. For phase 2, all 10 topic areas are funded at $600,000, and both those run at 24 months for SBIR and STTR. These are some differences between SBIR and STTR. So for the nonprofit research institution or federally funded R&D center participation, that is an option for SBIR. But for STTR, there must be a cooperation between a research institution and the small business. For the percent of participation, that differs. For SBIR, it's 33% or less for phase 1 and up to 50% for phase 2. For STTR, it falls between 30 and 60% for both phase 1 and phase 2. And then the primary employment of the principal investigator for SBIR must be employed with a small business. So if you work in a university, you have to decrease the amount of your obligation to the university to 49% or less for the duration of the grant for SBIR. But for STTR, the PI may be employed at either the small business or the nonprofit research institution. And then a formal cooperative agreement is required for outlining intellectual property rights. That is not required for SBIR, but it is definitely required for STTR. And one other thing I'll mention before we go to the next slide is that when you apply, if you're applying using STTR, last year was our first year for STTR, and I believe some applicants were a little confused about who is making the application. It is always the small business making the application. So never the nonprofit research institution. Program funding for phase 1, as you can see, in FY21 and FY22, it was 15%. It stays pretty steady around 15%. Phase 1, we get many more excellent projects than we have the ability to fund. So it is highly competitive. For phase 2, your odds are much greater of winning a phase 2 award. But you have to win that phase 1 first. So you can see for FY21 and FY22, where we're hovering around the 50% mark. Success metrics for SBIR and STTR include the sales of technology and services, the licensing your technology or services, and of course, the creation of new jobs in the US economy. Some features of the USDA SBIR program include that the ideas are investigator initiated. And then awards are based on, of course, the scientific and technical merit of your project and also the commercial potential of your innovation. So does it seem like something that will be successful, find a place in the marketplace where you can enter the marketplace and sustain yourself in the marketplace. And then we also look at the principal investigator and the company qualifications. Subcontracting to universities and federal labs is encouraged for SBIR, but not required. It is required for STTR. And then we also offer technical and business assistance. What is technical and business assistance? TABA or TABA, however you want to pronounce it. It was first introduced in fiscal year 2019 as part of the John S. McCain National Defense Authorization Act. And it is meant to help companies that may be heavy on the scientific side with a little help on the business side. So this is just a small list of what TABA can include. There are many other things that it can include, but it's common to have get help with IP legal costs, with marketing, anything around marketing, with financial review, with customer discovery, and with many other things. And the cost of TABA is something that USDA takes care of. It does not come out of your budget. So it is like a bonus if you want to, or you're able to access these services. So for phase 1, the TABA budget is $6,500, and that in phase 1, remember, you're focused on your scientific and or technical research. So what you're going to be doing as far as the commercialization piece is developing a commercialization plan for your application to phase 2. And then In phase 2, again, commercialization accelerates along with continuation of the research and development is scientific. And you get $50,000 to really accelerate that commercialization. These are our 10 topic areas for USDA, SBIR, STTR. As you can see, we have a lot of things you expect the Department of Agriculture to have. We have forest and related resources. We have 2 plant production and protection. One is biology focused and one is engineering focused. Of course, we have animal production and protection, conservation of natural resources, air, water, and soil. Food science and nutrition is rather large. Aquaculture, biofuels, and bio-based products. And then the 2 that are in a lighter blue color, 8.6 and 8.12, rural community development and small and mid-sized farms. These 2 are stand out as different just because these are the 2 that are funded in phase 1 at $125,000. And they do not require a completely new innovation. I know that's redundant, but I'm just emphasizing that you can use off-the-shelf technology if it is applied in an innovative way for 8.6 or 8.12. And this slide is just to remind you that if you have a scientific or technical innovation, and you haven't thought about an agricultural application of your innovation, this is just to remind you that agriculture is very much a scientific field. And this is just a small sampling of what type of science we are involved in. Everything from acoustics, biofuels, to precision agriculture, physics, robotics, remote sensing, all at nanotechnology. So I would just encourage you, if you have a scientific innovation, to think about whether or not there might be an agricultural application for it. And I think we've gone over the topic areas. So, and this one, there we go. These are the typical timelines. So this is what we shoot for every year. We don't always have complete control over when our RFAs are published, but this is what we try to do. And we made it this year. So the phase 1 RFA is usually released in July, and it was this year. The proposal deadline in the past has been October. This year it is September 19th. Reviews and award notifications go out between December, are done and go out between December and February. And then the start date for phase 1 is always in July. For phase 2, and remember that it's only open to phase 1 awardees, so you have to get that phase 1 award. The solicitation is generally released in December, and the proposal deadline is in March. Reviews and awards or notifications go out April through June, and then the start date for phase 2 is always September. And I think next up will be Dr. Nahar will take over from here.
Thank you, Melinda. Hi, everyone. I'm Nurul Nahar. I work closely with Melinda for USDA SBIR STTR program. You saw both our pictures at the beginning. We exactly look like same. We just had a summer haircut and turn out like that. So as Jamie mentioned, that if you do have any questions, please try to put it in the Q&A box. I am gonna just answer one question right now because I see it is very relevant, or whatever slide you are seeing right now. And Melinda already mentioned that. So the question, do you need to go through phase 1 before phase 2, or can you do phase 2 without receiving phase 1 funding? It's a good question. A lot of people has probably this answered. So I'm gonna just clarify again, even though Melinda mentioned it, we do not have a direct phase 2. You have to have a phase 1 completed to be eligible to apply for phase 2. So you don't have to be USDA phase 1. If you have a phase 1 from DOE, NSF, You still can apply for phase 2 for the relevant technology, but there is no jump start for phase 2. You have to go through phase 1 to phase 2. So I hope this answered your question, but please feel free to ask as many questions as you want. After the presentation, we're going to go back to your Q&A box and we'll try to answer all of your questions. So we want to just mention a little bit about letting you know how USDA SBIR STTR program review your application. If you see the lump sum of lot of application for phase 1, we really get huge amount of application, close to 700. So what we do, we invite a lot of peer review panelists, the experts from academia, university, nonprofit, federal labs, a lot of experts we invite, and they evaluate your proposal. So for each application, 3 technical reviewers review your application, and they put in the different categories saying excellent, very good, good, fair, or poor. So they kind of categorize them. Once we meet everyone with the peer review panel, then there is a big discussion. What are the strengths of that application? What are the weaknesses of the application? And after that, all the panelists, not only 3 technical reviewers, they are the main one to discuss, but all reviewers also comment on the proposal and they put in a rank, number 1 to as many proposals as we have. And then depending on our funding, we start from the top, outstanding proposal, and then medium priority proposal and all those. So this is a really called a peer review process. We just administered the process of the peer review, but real expert of the area of the field actually review your technical component of your proposal. After the peer review process, does not matter any applicant get funding or do not get funding, everyone should receive the verbatim copies of the reviews. So that is very important. If you are successful, great. If you are not successful, you still get reviews from those expert panelists, and that give you a chance to rework on your application, make it stronger by commenting whatever comment they have and submit it to the next year. So phase 1, they have really good chance to review those comments, incorporate that, and resubmit it. Phase 2 does not have that privilege. Phase 2 is a one-time shot. Either you get successful or you cannot apply anymore. So this is one of the difference. So keep in mind, for phase 1, I told you that you can always reapply with the same application. So once you are doing the resubmission, you have 1 additional pages to respond to the comments of the reviewer. So usually our narrative is 17 pages, but resubmission, you get 18 pages, 1 extra page just to answer how did you incorporate the previous reviewer comments into your proposal. I already mentioned phase 2 applicants are only able to apply 1 time. So let's go back to the SBIR program and STTR program. Melinda Kaufman also mentioned a little bit of the involvement. Does not matter SBIR or STTR program you apply, small business is always the applicant and small business is always the awardee. However, the PD, we call principal, PD or PI, principal investigator, could be different based on SBIR or STTR. So their involvement in terms of SBIR program, we said that any scientist from the university or federal lab, they can serve as a consultant or subcontract and still work full-time at their home institution, but limited to only 1/3 of the phase 1 award. So less than 33% could be for the SBIR program, those involvement. If you are applying for phase 2, that goes around 50%. So scientists, if they want to serve as a PI, principal investigator, they can reduce their employment at their home institution to around 49% duration of the grant and can be a PI under even SBIR program. But we discourage, and usually it is not acceptable that university or government scientists serve as a consultants and have all the research done in their lab. We just want the partnership to build. How about the STTR program? This is a little different. STTR program give you a lot of flexibility in terms of higher amount of partnership. You are not restricted with less than 33%. Here we we tell that you could do partnership or subcontract 30 to 60%. So it's a higher amount. The PI can be employed either with the small business or the research institution. So small business must perform under STTR 40% of the work. So that's the minimum. And the research institution can perform 30%, and then additional 30% you can outsource to other research institution or subcontract to the federal lab. So these are the breakdown how you are planning in terms of submitting your proposals. One of the biggest component we want to highlight is CREDA. CREDA called Cooperative Research and Development Agreement. So CREDA is usually done with a federal lab or federal license innovation. And CREDA is a really good component to be aware of. A lot of times small business does not have all the capabilities to do all the work or making all the experiment or testing. So we really encourage our small business to do partnership with the federal lab, and different way you could do that, but this CREDA has a factor that is a tiebreaker. If two application has similar review panel, then having one CREDA has a better opportunity to get funding. So keep in mind that CREDA takes long time to establish a cooperative agreement with the federal lab. And if you are planning on that, you need to think early. And I'm going to go through, we do have a contractor, ICF Next. They help you to connect with the federal lab. And ARS has really good information on the website that you can also take the opportunity to sort of a link with other scientists to pair up and go for CREDA. Now, what are the factors that improve the chance of award success? There are a couple things we can mention. A lot of things you can sort of follow up after that, and we'll go through that, some of that as a vision and other areas. But always think about your technical merit, your scientific or technical merit and commercial potential. That is the first biggest part, and that has twice as many weighted in your evaluation process than any other component. And there should be a balance of high risk and high reward. Do not assume that peer review panelists will not know about the risk. If you identify risk and talk about the risk in your application and also mention you acknowledge those risks or challenges, but these are the way you want to mitigate those challenges, that makes your application even stronger. So trying to balance high risk and reward, and then also putting back the challenges and how you see to overcome them, make your proposal strong. Good consultant in terms of CREDA that I mentioned before, Cooperative Research and Development Agreement. That's another way you can do the partnership with the federal lab. If you are not a business expert as a small business, you need to think about including a business expert in your team, because the commercial potential is really important component, and having a business expert in your team might be able to help you a lot. Strong letters of support is another one. Some applicants provide 30, 40 support letters. We really do not encourage that many strong support letters. Strong support letters, 3 to 5 is good based on your projected proposal, but think about who are the end user of your technology, who are the future consumers or investors. If they are excited about your technology and would like to give a support letter, please include those with your application. And also clear understanding of the entry and sustainability in the market, and that the business expertise can help you on that. That is an important one. So all you can get it is high scientific technical merit and commercial potential is one thing, and then also try to make your team such a balanced way that there are business expertise available who knows how to do the market potential. And then you also want to include some of the scientists who know how to work on kind of achieving those objectives that you were mentioning in terms of experimental plan and goal and how can I achieve those. So balanced teamwork is important. Once you are getting ready for phase 1, and our phase 1 deadline is September 19th, you probably have listened to our RFA, our request for application technical webinar that we did last week. Our submission deadline is September 19th, 5 p.m. You cannot be late. So we always encourage you to start early to your submission process. Do not wait until for the last moment. And there are a couple steps that you need to do, and it takes weeks to complete those processes. So starting early is better. We're going to remind you that companies should be registered with the SBIR.gov, because this is the program only small business is allowed to do that. So company registration is important, and also complete the required step necessary to register on grants.gov. The grants.gov registration important for a couple reasons. One is we do not accept any proposal not coming through grants.gov. You have to submit your application or the proposal through grants.gov. So that's the one reason. And another thing is you have to register with the sam.gov, and that takes sometimes a couple of weeks, 2 weeks to more, to get a UEI number, unique entity identification number. So if you have not thought about those registration, please think early, because September 19th will be the application deadline, but you should start thinking about, do I have the same registration? Have I registered with the SBIR? If you have done it previously, also check, because sam.gov need annual update. So if you have done it last year, think about it. If it is 365 days, you do need to renew that registration. And we're going to remind you, because sometimes it takes a long time. What are the advice for phase 1 applications? So the first advice I can give you is the read the RFA, request for application. Request for application has all the components that you need to know to submit the application. Even the registration process that I'm talking about, RFA also discuss about those. If you are thinking which area I should submit my proposal, RFA talks about those. Who should I contact in specific questions? RFA give you those contact information. So read the RFA is the biggest thing I could tell you. But I'm going to highlight a couple things. One thing is, if you're not quite sure who to consult, if you're thinking a specific topic area that you're going to apply, please reach out to that topic area national program leader. We call NPL shortly, National Program Leader. Our 10 topic areas has 10 national program leader, and you can always email them just a paragraph or 2 paragraphs and say that I do have this idea. Do you think that I fit good on this topic area? And you can make a 20-minute consultation time. Before putting too much into in your application, it's always good to check with your national program leader for a consult if you're not quite sure. Second one is follow application guideline formatting, and that is defined in the RFA. And what do we mean by that? We are really strict about the page limit. The project summary has to have only 250 words, and our narrative is just 17 pages. If it is a resubmission, then 18 pages, 1 page extra. Everything has to be Times New Roman font, 1-inch margin, 1.5 lines line spacing, everything specific. If you do not follow, it does not go to the initial screening, and it does not reach to the peer review panel. So allow enough time to make sure that you understand the guideline and follow those application guidelines for formatting. Also, ensure application responds to all review criteria listed in the RFA. RFA 1 section, you will find that review criteria listed, evaluation criteria listed. Once you write down your application, go back and sort of make a checklist. Have I responses all the evaluation criteria that reviewer is going to look in my application? That's another way, check and back and forth with the RFA and your application to make it a really strong application. The other general advice I can give you, provide a vision. If you have an idea for a new technology, that's great. But also the long-term vision, how do you see your technology is going to be used in the market? What is the market opportunity? Try to mention what is your vision on that. We know that phase 1 is a feasibility test. You probably do not know how at the long run market is going to look like, but we want to see your vision, how you want to envision your technology to be used in the community. So that's you need to put down. Sell the importance of your project and how it's going to align with the USDA priorities. In the RFA, you will see that USDA listed 6 of those priorities area, how your project align it. One of our priorities mentioned that. Provide a detailed experimental plan. Whatever you are planning, how are you going to do that? Do you have an experimental plan? If you do have some early on experimental result, please include that as well. That will strengthen your proposal. And if you do have experimental plan, break it down, how it matches with the objective 1 and then goal 1. So it is easy for reviewer to follow. Provide insight into the commercial potential. You do not need to do the commercial implication, but what do you see as a potential in the commercial side? You need to show that. And the show connectivity with the communities. How do you do that? By the support letter. Support letter for the communities. If it is a technology, some end user gonna use it, get the excitement letters from them. That will show the connectivity with the communities. So some of the assistant resources I would like to mention to you, if someone is new, probably does not know, and you are thinking as a small business, I have a small amount of people, we do not have all the expertise, where do we get help? There are a lot of help available actually. So first of one is the Small Business Development Center. We call it SBDC. And they really provide support to small business applying for SBIR STTR grants. At least one SBDC in each state. There are 62 in total. And I have provided the main SBDC website. These PDF of the PowerPoint presentation is available to you. Go to that website and you can just pull down which state you are in and can find that SBDC information for your state. The second one is Federal and State Technology Partnership Program, or the FAST program. And we do have provided the link for the FAST program. So socially or economically disadvantaged individuals can take the advantage of the FAST program. So this is a really great resource. So other local assistance for SBIR proposals, we do have a bottom one, sbi.gov/local assistance. You can find a lot of resources there. So this is all the resources you have. And then we already mentioned that you could reach out to USDA SBIR program, our national program leader for consultation. So try to use and make sure that you have all the resources that you can reach out for any source of help you need. Now for the outreach program, we do the outreach program to foster and encourage participation by underrepresented populations. Melinda and her team, I'm involved there too. We try to provide more than 3 virtual overviews per month. And we also do a lot of other outreach events, like Road Tour was the one done this summer. We do talk with our small business in the tech conference. There is a booth and informal consultation twice a year. We plan to do some participation at in-person events, have not started that one yet. And then the next one, in terms of the outreach, we started contracting with ICF Next. They're really good on sorts of pairing up the small business with the target community. They're really helping to connect and matchmaking. If you need to find the right person at the university or the federal lab, they also can help it. Also, they provide application or workshop to the target community. That's another thing. And then also help organizing and guide SBCs through step-by-step process of the SBIR STTR application, that is ICF Next. So this is something you can take advantage of as well. At last, quickly, I want to mention that one of the success stories, you realize that success rate is a little bit less, 15%, but for any competitive program, around 10 to 15% is the success rate. So I don't think it is too low, but it is really competitive. But whoever got success from the phase 1 or phase 2 really are successful. And we'd like to highlight a couple of one. The first one is the Prairie Aquatic. So Prairie Aquatic converted soybean meal to fish feed and created a Me Pro commercial one. It's a feed, fish feed. This company is based on South Dakota. And their commercialization success is huge. They are currently producing 30,000 tons of NEPRO. So that's a great story we'd like to share with you. The second one is Stony Creek Colors, and the CEO is a woman. They created actually bio-preferred, it's called bio-preferred color. It's a dye for jeans and denims and all those indigo dye. And it's a huge success. A lot of brand name companies are using their colors. The third one is Sunside Wind. Sunside Wind based on Lawrenceville, Georgia. And this PD is a minority-owned company. They have manufactured a small wind turbines that successfully compete with the rooftop solar even within the moderate wind areas. So that's a great success. They are almost close to the big commercialization. They are doing the last stage testing. Other one is the Embrex one. It's a little older success story for us, but I think that I'm going to point out that over the time, the success increased because this is around 2001, they did have 44 million in revenues. They worked on the ovo vaccination. And once they started, they had employee less than 10, now even more than 200 employees. And they are so successful with the vaccination that they are purchased by Pfizer. So they are really a successful USDA SBIR STTR awardee. I'm going to point out this is our nice brochure. We provided the brochure link. Once you click on the brochure, all general information and some of the success stories, you will get it here. And you can also see what are our 10 topic areas. If you need to reach out to us, you can always email to us sbir@usda.gov. Also, you can reach out to Melinda Kaufman or our national program leader, David Songstead. So I'm going to stop sharing and then we'll go through with your question and answer.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nahar and Melinda. So for everyone, please feel free to enter your questions into the Q&A bar and we'll answer as many as we can. So I know we have a couple that have been submitted so far. So one is, when submitting an SBIR proposal, is it better to have a large project proposal work scope or a very small specific work scope?
I can answer that. Thank you, Jamie. So I will say, think about the duration. That's the first clue. For SBIR, phase 1 project is only proof of concept and duration is only 8 months. For STTR is 12 months, but that does not really give you enough research and development duration. It's sort of giving you a little bit more time to make those connection with the university folks or the federal lab, right? So within that duration, if you propose something really large, you cannot achieve it. So it's better to do sort of a proof of concept study or feasibility study with the specific work scope because anyone is reviewing your proposal, they're the expert. They know how long it might take for doing that experiment, how long it takes to do all the testing. So if you make it bigger, but they know it is not feasible to do it, then you're not going to get the funding. So you better make it very specific work scope, what is doable within that duration or the time frame. That's better.
Thank you. That's really helpful. So this next question is related to applying with several agencies for different SBIR or STTR awards. So this particular person has applied as a sub-awardee to DOE and has an STTR application to NSF right now for uses of their technology in different applications. And then he found an opportunity within the USDA RFA that can benefit from his technology. So he's wondering if that's okay to be applying to.
I'll take that one.
Yep.
Sure. That's a really good question, John. And let me know if this doesn't get at exactly what you're asking. But you can take actually the same proposal and you can apply to any topic area across the federal government within SBIR, STTR. The trick is you cannot accept more than one award. So if you're offered more than one award, you can only accept one. And if you don't, the consequences are very serious. So So, just keep that in mind. I'll even say it can end up in jail time. So, because I really want to make an impression on you. But it's, it's if you have a proposal, if you have different proposals, yes, of course you can apply. If they're distinct proposals, you can apply across the federal programs, the SBIR programs, in the same fiscal year. That's not a problem at all. And you can win, as many. For USDA, it's limited to 2. But I would, yes, encourage you, if your proposal is distinct from the NSF proposal, then please do apply for USDA.
I'm gonna include a little more with Melinda's comments. Everything you said, Melinda, great information. So anything related to that scope, if you have applied to DOE or NSF or other agency, please include those in the current and pending list. The current and pending list should include all of your proposal that you have submitted before and is still pending. And then the one you are applying to USDA SBIR, that will be considered as a pending too. So if you get recommendation of the award, then you could choose which one you want, the NSF one or our one. That's okay. But in terms of reporting and be clear that everyone knows you are not hiding anything, list them on the current and pending.
Fantastic. That's super helpful. Thank you. So, yeah.
Jamie, would you mind if I just kind of interjected something before we go to this next question?
Absolutely.
I just wanted to talk a little bit about proposals being high risk, high reward. Dr. Nahar talked a lot about that, and we welcome high risk, high reward proposals, but we we welcome medium risk, medium, and even low risk proposals. So we don't exclude proposals to high risk, high reward. We just want you to know we don't exclude you if your proposal is high risk, high reward. I just wanted to clarify that a little bit.
Great, that's really helpful too. So this person is asking about kind of the size of business that's typically awarded. So they're saying, it appears that usually the chances of award success are much higher for well-established small businesses. But does USDA SBIR Phase 1 support newer small businesses, such as less than 5 employees? And how many of the successful proposals are from those smaller companies?
Okay, I can answer that. To be honest, we never consider small business as a really, really small business, mid-small business, and large small business. We do not consider that. So anything we count as a 1-person small business to 500 and less. Okay, that count as a small business. And all the success rate that you see, it could be with the 5 people, it could be with the 450 people. We never kind of counted how many people have in that team as a small business. Only the requirement, you have to register as a small business through the SBIR and SBA, and that considered. And we can dig into that information if we like to, but usually we don't. So we do not track anything if it is a 5-person or a 1-person employee company, or it is a 499 employee companies. So this is in general information in terms of small business. If you are a small business, less than 5 employees, I would say that you have more of the benefit of incorporating different people from as a consultant or partnership with the federal lab, partnership with the university. So do not think that less employee does not mean you cannot have a successful proposal, because if your idea is great, if you bring back the different committee members to make your team strong, you might have great success. Do you want to add anything, Melinda, on that?
No, I think that was good. In the question, Jamie, in the question and answer box, I tried to get a clarification for a question, and now I can't find a question. So,
okay. I think there was a question about TABA assistance that was awarded from another agency, and they're wondering if that can be used at all for, USDA if it's been awarded from, a different agency.
Well, so our TABA grants go along hand in hand with your USDA award for SBIR, STTR. So it would have to be connected to phase 1 or phase 2 award you were awarded. Does that, I hope that answers the question. I know that was from someone anonymous.
I think this one might kind of relate to that too, since there is TABA assistance, but then this person is asking, does USDA provide any sort of assistance to aid small businesses with commercialization? You know, with an example that DoD has a commercialization readiness program that helps with getting to phase 3 DoD contracts and with private sector sales. So they're wondering if USDA has anything similar to that.
We do not. I know DoD does have that commercialization readiness program. That is not something, we're a much smaller agency, and so it's more difficult for us to pull together something like that, although we would like to. So we do have the technical and business assistance, or TABA, that's kind of the extent of what we have at this point. That doesn't mean we won't add more commercialization services in the future. We hope to.
All right, Melinda, I want to include, if you think, Rodney, about the TAPA program to begin with for phase 1, there are some. We do not give a great deal, but 6,500 for phase 1. And phase 1 awardee, once they apply for phase 2, they got 50,000. So that should help for the commercialization. For the phase 1 commercialization, the TABA actually helped them to sort of get ready for application to phase 2. And the phase 2 is sort of giving that more of the commercialization of what they're looking for the marketplace. So those up to there. For phase 3, we do not have any that Melinda mentioned, and that DoD probably has. Then we want to encourage our participant or applicant to find those from private entrepreneurship, venture capital, and other sources.
I can take the next question from Gary, if you like. It's a really good question. And Gary, this is a really common problem that people have, because our 10 topic areas cover all of agriculture. They're very broad. There's never been, to my knowledge, an innovation that didn't fit into one of our categories. But the other side of that is that they're so broad that oftentimes an innovation will fit into more than one category. And so what we suggest people do when they're not sure which category is ask for a consultation with Dr. David Songstad. He is listed at the end of our slides. I think it's the very last page. And I can type his contact information in the chat. And so, and Nurun had gone over during the presentation that if you just do a very, very brief, like 1 paragraph summary, it can be informal, and send an email to Dr. Songstad, then he will arrange a consult with you to help you gain. He can't advise you about which topic area to apply to, but he can give you just more information and maybe put a little more context around the topic areas. So I'll put his contact in the chat.
I did it to Jamie. It does not allow to share with everyone. So Jamie, if you could share with the attendees.
Yep, will do. So I think maybe part of that individual's question and another question was, can you submit more than one proposal for the phase 1 if they are distinct, you know, technologies and things like that?
If they are distinct, yes. If they are distinct technologies, you can submit up to 2 proposals. And we suggest that you submit those to different topic areas, or else you're competing against yourself.
Fantastic. So this person is kind of asking about their stage of business already. So they've already, you know, they have a product already, have been selling it. So would they qualify for a phase 1, or are they beyond that at this point?
I can take that. So these are research grant, standard research grant. So we want our applicants' focus would be research and development. If you already have a product and you are selling it, it's not a research development, right? You are going to the next stage, so you are not eligible. But think about that. Is there any source of piece that you still need to be testing? Does the research and development as a little piece that you have left? These are the way you can look at to apply for phase one. If you do not have any of the research and development piece, then it's not applicable.
It's a good answer.
Yes, definitely very helpful. So thank you for that. So it looks like we do have another question that how can I best boost subcontractor credentials to make a proposal that shows a full and competent team? While subcontractors can only have 30% of the award, how do I best speak to the competency of subcontractors for a strong proposal?
In your, I'll start and then Narun can talk about too, but in your project narrative in your application, you're going to be outlining the what research you're doing, your research design, and who will be doing what. So what will the small business be doing and what will the subcontractors be doing? So and then you'll just have to make sure that we understand that the subcontractor, what you have assigned to the subcontractor to do is something that the company that you've chosen is capable of doing.
Yeah, and we can see that, or the reviewer can see that by looking at the biographical sketch of the personnel that you are including, because the biographical sketch include last 10 years experience of that people who you are bringing as a co-PD or as a consultant or as a main partner, right? So having that information helps. So, and look at that 33% or less for SBIR program. But if you feel that you need more people to bring it, more sub-award need, then think about STTR. That allows you until 60% to subcontract.
Good point.
Let's see, someone just entered something, and so I'm seeing if it's a question or not. So I guess they're wondering if there have been successful proposals that are similar to information and technology or communications focused types of, technology innovations. Let's see, focused on community health and safety instead of specifically on agriculture. So are there awards that would be similar to that?
Yes. If you look at 8.6 rural and community development, I know I said all of our topic areas are broad, and they are, but rural and community development is probably the broadest. So it's there to kind of cover anything to increase the strength of rural communities so that they can survive and thrive. And things like technology, broadband access is a huge thing for rural communities. Other kinds of technology and communications are huge for rural communities, and also health and safety. There's some aging populations, not that they're the only ones that need help, but health and safety, but that definitely is part of rural and community development.
Yeah, and
So
a big part
like
is
that.
IT and things, IT related anything, it is good fit for 8.6. One of the question for Gary, Jamie, I can take that. The question is, our technology has application in biofuels and grain drying. Should this be one application or two? Gary, it will be depending on how you're gonna outline your proposal objective. It could be one, it could be two. So the best thing that Melinda suggested, if you could share your objective and send it to Dave Sonstead, he can look at it and then make a consultation, and he can suggest you, would it be better off proposing two proposals or just combining one and making a stronger one? So please reach out to him.
And Richard, the closing date is September for phase one is September 19th, and it's 5 p.m. Eastern time. Dr. Nahar and I are located in the Midwest. We're in the Kansas City area, so we're in Central Time, but this is in Eastern Time. And I really emphasize that because if you make the mistake of doing a 5 p.m. in your own time zone and it's not Eastern, that may not work.
Yeah, and one thing to clarify, it mentioned that SBIR 8.6, not only 8.6, all of the proposals for phase 1 is exactly deadline September 19th, 5 p.m. Submit it early, because if you ended up 5:01 p.m., proposal is not gonna look good. And I'm gonna just share with Jamie to share that we did have some information on the application workshop that we did on June 15th. That might be really good information, then you can look at it. Jamie, I'm going to share with you too, so you can share with all the applicants. I don't know if the link worked or not. I can email you to share with them. We did have a good application workshop. They can look at that, how to make the application stronger.
Looks like we're out of time, but I did just want to say, yes, Richard, it is always Eastern Time. That's so true.
Yes, we've had that issue before, that people miss the deadline because they don't understand the time that it's
Yes.
on. So definitely heed that warning.
Yes.
So thank you both so much. I know we're out of time, but if you have any closing thoughts you want to leave with us, I do want to let you do that.
I think you'll have the information in the slides, and if you need clarification, and then I'm going to say, please read the RFA, download it, make it searchable. I know it's searchable online, but it's just easy to have it really handy, so that, and if you have a question, search the RFA first. It's usually in there. It's pretty thorough.
Thank you, Melinda. I'm going to wish all of you good luck. Try to reach out if you do have any question, SBIR@USDA.gov. You can just query for general question and answer, and we'll be happy to help if you need any assistance on clarifying the RFA. But look at the RFA, then ask the questions. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye,
for the
Jamie.
Bye.